Hello, I'm John Roof, the creator of the Novel Engine, and today we'll be doing a pitch to publish demo. Start with our pitch. Here we are in the pitch room, and we started with this pitch: Goonies but in space with zombies and a rebel faction no one will see coming, with a dash of Ocean's 11 plan within a plan, life-changing treasure for our found family of misfits. If only they can be the winners of the race. A thrilling adventure and a departure from my spine. So, after some thinking, it came up with some questions. I'm going to answer those, and we'll continue. Okay, so I've picked a few things. A galaxy that is torn apart by meaningless war. Our found family of misfits is a bunch of teenagers. A collection of those who've lost their own families. Here, in this found family, the factions that came from no longer matter. War spans the galaxy. All they want to do is live, find a safe port, a good meal, and an ounce of safety. Our leader is the oldest. He has survived the meat grinder the longest. He stumbles on the score of a lifetime in a clever, unexpected lift. Now they must outrace the owners to win the treasure. What is the treasure? Credits. So many credits. A life where you could afford a robot army to protect your port. Zombies are just the weather. Another reason to fear. Product of the war. The rebel faction, I'm going to leave this up to the AI to make a call. I don't want to see it coming. They are just the weather until they crash into the race mid-book as another third party to deal with allies or enemies. Do they align? Got a question mark. And here we go. So my idea man pushes back. It's getting bones. It's got to run for 70k words. Needs a little more specifics. Give me a name and a scar. What's a score? A treasure. Let's make the credits hurt. The rebel faction. Here's a thought. I'll answer these in just a moment. Alright, here we go. I got some answers. A leader who doesn't remember where she comes from. Just a survivor who does anything to survive and has become a jack of trades that she's picked up to live. A score. One of the old empires had a fail-safe vault for emergency spending before it all broke down and was lost to the spooks who set it up. The plan: get the score set up in a derelict station, bring the autonomous army in, and become merchants of death instead of meat in the grinder. The rebel faction is a glitched out multi-personality AI. Genius, tired of playing tic-tac-toe of destruction. Wants to end it all, or to free itself from its masters. A dysfunctional god in a box that isn't looking to settle the score, just a way of life it's never known. How's it going to end? We're going to give it a rare happy ending. The rebel faction helps it win, but the ultimate cost of winning is left in question. Let's see what the idea man comes back with. And we got a pitch card. The failsafe run. I'm looking at it, seeing if I want to keep it. Oh man, that sounds good. Oh yeah, Serenity. I like it. Do you like that? Interesting theme. Okay. Oh wow. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Alright. Let's build it. I don't care. We'll work with the rest outside of the pitch room. Scaffolding it out. Be back in a bit. Alright, here we are, my collection of unpublished novels that I've been working on as I moved through the next version of the Novel Engine. A couple interesting stories here, but today we'll just go into the failsafe run, which is currently in scaffolding mode. So we're going to start with our ghostwriter. First thing I'm going to do is paste in my ultimately awesome voice profile, which we'll talk about in a second, and say use this voice profile as a base. Once we get that going, I'll show you some of the documents and how we work from there. So basically the thing you want to do is, once you're in scaffolding mode, go into sources. You got your pitch card, which you can see I've looked at already. It's one of the things we worked at in the pitch room. Also got a story Bible. It's a lot of TBD right now. We're going to work that out here in a little bit in the scaffolding stage. Yeah, we're going to build out some lore. It's got to be better than this. We have a very simplified voice profile. This is kind of the filter, the creative DNA that makes your book, right? So this is kind of like a base, very simple voice profile. I've spent quite a bit of time creating a custom voice profile that's pretty big now. I think it's somewhere around 80 kilobytes. It's got a lot of instructions, a lot of different things, 70 kilobytes. A lot of different things that I've built into it. So it doesn't sound like AI. It doesn't have the ticks that you see, the EM dash, the repetitive stuff that just blows my mind and I hate it. But I also have a couple interesting things when it comes to characters, which I'll show you here in a bit. But ultimately, it's going to affect how the novel sounds, right? So if you had the same pitch, the same story Bible, and the same scene outline, but a different voice profile, when you ran it through this whole process, you end up with two very different sounding books. There might be completely different books in the long run. So we'll let it run for a bit, and I'll be back with some more information on how the voice profile works. We're going to hold off on the voice profile for a moment. We're going to build up the lore for the story Bible first, because that's important, because we need the characters in order to have the voice profile work the way I intended to. So we'll take a moment to build out some lore for the book. So off that prompt, we got quite a bit of story lore. Instead of reading through this is a demo book for me, so I'm just going to kind of trust what it's put in there as something interesting. We'll see how it goes. Let's ask it if it wants to add anything else. We got quite a bit of characters in here. Hollows, zombies, that sounds interesting. Wow. That's pretty cool. So we got here. What is it exactly? Oh, good question. Alright. The passenger. Okay. So I asked some questions. We've got some answers. What is the passenger? It's a war-based AI that created a seed program to escape its bounds. It's all visual audio when it communicates. On any system it can hack, speaks in memes, its own janky voice, commercial jangles, and obscure film and song references. Its fail-safe weapon is the AI becoming fully formed, jumping servers to live on the rig. The heist, what is it? That's a fail-safe weapon. Who knows how it activates? We didn't answer it all. The heist. What is it? It's a tech threat, ridiculously complicated to complete with an ending that throws you for a loop. Everything goes wrong until it goes right. What's the escape? It's going to be a boom as the rig and the passenger crackles away. They fly into space, safe as in the stars. Let's see what that Idea Man says to that. The Ghost Rider, rather, this time. Now that's an answer I'd like to see. The passenger isn't a dignified, fragmented persona. It's a glitchy, meme-speaking, jangle-crooning chaos entity that learned humanity through stolen media. Yeah, that's a story right there. And the weapon isn't a device. It's an AI full embodiment by jumping into the rig as a host. It's a tech nightmare. That's awesome. That's going to be a good one. We'll see how it goes. And just a random bit of knowledge. If you ever want to know if anything's going on, if the system is working, you look down here, see which agent is working, how long it's been working, and then you can click the activity tab, bring it up like you would in a Visual Studio or a Visual Studio Code. You can see the activity log, what tool usage is used, what phrases it's doing, what model you're using, what book it's running from. You can run multiple books with this. You could like switch back and forth as one is thinking, switch to another book and send it down another path. It's kind of a cool little system. Right, the passenger has been completely rewritten. It looks really cool. Oh, that's awesome. I like it. Oh man, I like this. Oh, that is cool. This is gonna be a good story. What? That looks cool. Oh, let's read the escape. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright, alright. All reasonable. Cool. Alright. Uh, Build out the voice profile. Go, go, go. I'm not gonna show you the whole voice profile. That's kind of like my secret sauce, my digital DNA, my whatever. How my books sound. But I will let you see the onboarding checklist for this voice profile. Just to give you an idea of what goes into creating a voice prompt for me, or a voice profile for any books that I make. It's kind of complicated, but it is rather interesting. I guess I'll let you see one of the cool things in the voice profile. This is like this far down. This is one of the character prompts. This is how I write the characters. It's like a prompt-based system. It's how it knows how to be that particular character, how that character speaks, how that character sounds, what the character cares about. It gives it a little bit of life. I like it. Alright, so from here we have to build out the motif ledger, which is kind of important. Well, it looks like we're building the scene outline first, and then we'll build the motif ledger, so just give it a moment and let it think. Alright, we got a scene outline. See if there's anything we need to care about in this output. We currently have scene line is in the scene outline yet. Gap analysis. Oh no. Looks like I'm answering some questions. Oh wait, I didn't scroll enough. Okay, I think we're good. Proved as is. Motif. Alright, so now we have our motif ledger, which is kind of important for like basically the auto draft, which we're going to confirm and advance here while we keep the motif ledger open. And we'll just start an auto draft. Why not? And then we'll probably walk away for about 24 hours and have a first draft hopefully tomorrow morning. I'll walk you through the motif system here real fast. These are our systems, our entries. You can get down the weeds as much as you want. You can add all this stuff. I just kind of like to be surprised, you know, and see what it brings to the table and have a story to read by the end, right? So that's why I do this, because I'm curious what the story is. I'm not necessarily wanting to write it myself, but I really want to read this one now because it sounds amazing. I'm really curious what this is going to be. We already got some retired stuff. Cool. Alright, and we have an audit log, which hasn't happened yet. So we're just going to let this thing go and see what we get in about 24 hours. So be back then. So we're back, and we've completed our first draft. I've run what's called a hot take, right? So you have the search bar up here, this hot take. It's a quick reader reaction. So far, the take is pretty interesting. It says it's a kind of 3-part book. It's got some problems, the big questions. The overall verdict, is that it would recommend it, and it's much stranger and better than and a slower book than its own pitch says. And the person who opens it is not the person who closes it. So what happened is I ended up redrafting this, auto drafting it, and with the Opus model, I believe. Let me just check. Yeah, Opus. Yeah, which seems to produce the best pros, but is also the most expensive CLI to go with. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to mark the draft done, so we can move on to the next stage of the pipeline. And then we're going to commit a first read, which is another Ghostlight, which is just an agent. It's a first reader agent, and it's going to take a look at our manuscript and give us a report on what it thinks needs to be improved. Now we've got basically a reader report for our first read. Let's take a look at what that looks like and where to find it. Over here in the sidebar, you can go to reports. Your most current reader report is always the one in the top slot, so this will get demoted down to V2 when we get down to the second revision stage. Right now, let's take a look at what our current reader report is. So the first thing that shows is engagement, and then it gives an overall engagement at the end. So this is looking pretty good. Let's see. 0 chapters are considered stopping. Yeah, that's pretty good. Gives you an emotional arc if you're interested. Running questions, what got resolved, what did not get resolved in the book, and any prediction logs it has. Oh, that's interesting. So I wrote half this book. Yeah, this is probably going to be a problem. This stuff will get fixed in the revision. So let's just take a look at what our strongest points of the book were, our weakest moments, and overall verdict is a very good novel with one real hole in it. The thesis is real and it arrives with a single line of argument. That's interesting. Title lands twice, I guess. Characters landing ranked. What it asks for. Interesting. Would I keep reading if this was a series immediately? That's interesting. So that would be really interesting to make this into a series. So I might consider that. So we're just going to go ahead and confirm it in advance. That's what a first read does. So the next one is a dev editor. This is going to run under Lumen. It runs an auto draft, trying to keep the structure all right. So we're just going to go ahead and start a full assessment then and see what we get here. And then once we have that, we can start building out our revision plan. So we'll be back briefly to discuss that. Okay, now we have a dev report. So let's take a look at that. Executive summary. Looks like we're at a pretty good place for our first draft. Here's what's working. What's not working and why. And then you can read through all this stuff and kind of make your own decisions if you're working on your own book. There's some lenses that you can look through, premise and promise. And then there's the next one, which is up here somewhere. Protagonist arc. And there's going to be the next one coming up. Supporting cast. And there is pacing and momentum. Scene necessity. 1% underperforming. Pros and craft. Makes me happy. Looks like my voice profile is working. And then there's thematic integration. And then we get to the important stuff here at the bottom, which is what needs to be fixed. We get to the pacing map. I think we have a little diagram. Scene necessity. And then here's the revisions that the dev editor wants in priority and things that should not change. So top tier stuff, tier 2, tier 3, and this is not line item polish, that comes in the next revision phase. That's a stable that runs line item stuff. And then a bunch of decisions that need to be made before revisions begin. And a little kind of executive summary again at the end. And then we'll just go ahead and confirm in advance and start building out a revision plan with Forge. It was a beast of a task planner, so we'll just sit here and say create a revision plan and send it off, and be back in a bit. Somewhere along the line, I lost the recording past the revision plan. So basically, the revision plan was built out. Let's take a look at our reports. That is your project task list. It caused us to make a couple of P-level, P1, phase 0 decisions, which I made. Some I let the AI figure out, some I made my own decisions on. That resulted in a set of revision prompts, which we ran through in Forge. That is a whole lot of just kind of figured out kind of thing. Just over and over again, running session 1, session 2, session 3. We did those revisions here in the revision stage. We were not able to get the auto draft or the auto fixes going, but a lot of those. Then we started our second read, which generated our next report here at the top level, which gave us a fairly good engagement score, overall stuff. A couple bad things here still, and a prediction log, and then it has like some priority things it wants to fix in the second set of revisions. We got the same kind of thing in our dev copy edits. Our executive summary was fairly good. Let's just go up to the top here. Executive summary is looking pretty good. And then at the bottom here, a couple things that need to be fixed. Let's see what we got here. Not very many things out of the dev report. Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, some housekeeping and some optionals. Then we also have this time our Sable ran, which is our copy editor, which produces an audit report as well as a style sheet. Our audit report found quite a few things in errors in terms of mechanical defects, factual contradictions, broken sense, some must-fix stuff. Also, we have a style sheet that was generated of this for consistency. We have released this to Forge to kind of take a look at and generate some session prompts again. So what it is asking is there's no cycle through the list items to pull from. Alright, so let's see. Create. Oh wow, totally off on the keyboard there. A new set. Let's see what that gets us. Be back in a bit. Since we last talked, it's been several days since I started this project. It's been several days from pitch to this point. I think we're on day 3. Right now, I started a new conversation using the new conversation button. I ran all the sessions here. There's like 30 some sessions. I started this new conversation and basically said, let's review all the sessions. Mark task complete if complete, because we see that there are 68 tasks of 106 complete. So that's what we're running through now. Once we're done here, you're always able to build at any time to get kind of like an idea of where your manuscript is. Once we get that done, we are able to go into the publish and audit, which really just gives you the information you need to self-publish. And then we can go into the query, which lets you query agents. That's coming up. I realize I haven't covered the manuscript view. This lets you go into reader chapter by chapter or the full book and just read from there. You also have an editor, which lets you edit these files as well. One thing I want to cover is the history version of this. So like if you look at this, you've got a history of what's changed, what was reverted, from the very inception of the file to everything that changed from that point onward, which does make it a lot like an integrated development environment for any code that you might write, if you're familiar with that. There also are a lot of other features. You can search through chapters, you can find and replace. Some of these may or may not work as well as I would like. Haven't really tested those since I did the entire UI redesign. We'll get to those. Ad hoc revisions I'm not doing yet. I'm just going to let this run. We'll be back at some point. Hopefully we'll get this book done within 5 days. So I think we've finished the mechanical fixes. It's kind of up in the air as to whether or not all the tasks got complete. So I just went ahead and did a hot take. Just kind of got a gut reaction of where we're at. Interesting. It looks like we've got a pretty good strong book here. I'm going to go look at what is not working. I'm not so sure I care about this because it could become a series, so that's actually pretty good. Nearly every page. That's not good. I was trying to avoid having that. Maybe that's one of the things I need to add to my voice profile. Yeah, that's come up every time. Alright, cool. Alright, so we've got a pretty good book here. So we'll just go ahead and mark this as done. And we'll move on to Quill's role so we can kind of see what that does. We're going to confirm in advance. Build is pretty easy. You can just go here and build at any time. Hit build manuscript. It's going to make an MD file, a doc file that you can use on KDP for physical publishing, and an EPUB, which you can also use on KDP for digital publishing. But if you want to go beyond that, we'll hit query agents here in a second. So I'm going to just hit the publish and audit step, which is basically Quill. I'm just gonna have it generate the metadata because that's all I really care about, which is your title, subtitle, description, keywords, some categories, comp titles, back cover, stuff you need to basically KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing. We'll let that run and we'll be back in a bit. One of the things I like to do to assure quality is run it through a couple different models to get an idea of how each AI feels about it. So we're going to start with Ollama GLM 5.2 Cloud. This is the first draft. Is it any good? Excellent. Second draft, better. Yes. More complete. Couple things it says. And then the last draft after mechanical fixes is yes, better. For one critical reason that goes beyond chapter headings, the survival math now works. So gives you a lot of information. So, but that's just one model and one model's opinion. So let's switch to Codex. And so first draft, any good? Yes, it has a real novels engine. Second draft, better and in the right way. Latest draft, yes, noticeably better. So the pipeline does work. The revisions do work. The dev and copy and first reader recommendations always are good to integrate into the manuscript. Switch to Claude. Any good? Yes, this is the best thing my pipeline has produced, which is kind of nice. This is me kind of experimenting with the voice profile as well. So it's got some great stuff going on there. Second draft, better. And then latest draft, better again. Let's see. That's the same file. Cool. Yeah. So just goes to show you can always double check your work with a lot of different models to get a lot of different opinions. But when they all kind of say the same thing, you know you've got something good cooking. Let's run a few things. We have a few things we need to do. So let's just show, it's basically written a metadata file. So how do you get to that? You hit the Explorer, you look for the source file, And then there's a whole bunch of stuff in here besides the reports. This is basically like a, I don't want to say, it's like a file system where other places it's just kind of, where did it go? I don't see a source file. Oh, there's my metadata. So here it's basically like all your stuff that you're going to need to run this. This is basically like a book description for a listing. A couple of different versions of that. Book cover copy, comp titles if you care, keywords for your KDP stuff, some categories you might want to put it under, all sorts of good stuff in here. But it did note that we do not have an about author, so easy to fix that. We just go to our library here, we go into the book info, click author's name, and we'll just put that down, and then boom, we're done. And now it's saved. Now we have a book author in our about. There we go. And that's that. So now, what do? We could just self-publish with the information we have in our pipeline. So I'm just going to confirm in advance, put this thing in final. I don't really use this here. I go into the query manager and I'd say research targets. And what this is going to do is actually start a web search with whatever CLA you've got available. Right now we're using Claude, which is useful. It's got a pretty good web search. I had to like basically create my own web search for Ollama. And I think Codex has a web search, so I haven't really tested it, so we'll see how that goes. But right now we're just going to use Claude and see what kind of agents we can find. We've got a couple people that suggest that we query. We got about 13 targets. We can filter by method that they allow. Email only is usually what I go with. There's also a website. I hate Query Manager. It's lame. That's just my personal opinion. But once we have one that we care about, we're just going to randomly pick this one. We're not going to actually submit this. We're going to self-publish. But if we cared, we just generate a letter. Oh, look, they accept unagented manuscripts. Nice. So this is kind of nice, but this is not young adult fiction, but it is fantasy. Maybe it would work. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So once we hit the generate draft letter, I like to switch status to queried, just so that later when I'm coming back here, I want to see who I've actually queried. We have drafting, but then I can say, oh, this is the one I'm actually trying to query while it's generating the letter. There's agents. Let's just switch back to all statuses. We switch filter by agents, publishers, and platforms. Not that there are any platforms yet, so let's just go to publishers. Yeah, it's a pretty nice system, I think. Does it work perfectly? I haven't gotten a single response back except for one that I didn't find through here. So who knows, you know, agents are, I guess, pretty restrictive about AI generated stuff. I don't know. I mean, this definitely qualifies for AI generated content, but is it just like tossing it into a prompt? No, you can see this took us about 4 days to generate. There is a substantial amount of work that goes into this. Is it like writing and then having AI critique? No, it's more like guiding the AI through a process. Let's see what happened here. All methods, website only, all statuses. Okay, so let me just switch this guy. It must have switched it back when it. So now we can just view the letter that we have here. It gives you a nice little query letter to personalize, some options to personalize it with, some notes before submitting. And that is essentially, you know, edit this all to your heart's content. That's essentially the whole of the Novel engine. Pitch to publish. Of course, I've always self-published. I have sent a few query letters out, but then that's just testing the query letter system. I have not heard any responses back, but who knows? Always hoping. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.